The environments that shape us and the voices we let live rent free. What if the reasons we feel unsettled, overwhelmed, or unsure isn't because something is wrong with us, but because of what's surrounding us? What if our environment is shaping us more than we realize? The spaces we live in, the voices we listen to, the people we allow to speak over us and in us. And what if some of those voices aren't speaking truth, but speaking trauma? Let's get into it. Hey, y'all, I'm Madison Simone Chase, also known as Miss Chase, and was raised by an incredible single mom who is my biggest fan and my number one fan and my best friend forever, for real, my BFF. I'm also a celebrity certified personal trainer, fitness and wellness expert, and sports and entertainment media host. I was born in Fort Worth, raised in Dallas, built in Los Angeles. I trained at Juilliard with School of American Ballet, becoming the world's only three-time ESPN Miss Fitness champion, appearing in more than 450 fitness DVDs and infomercials. The first of the 450 fitness DVDs was led by the GOAT, celebrity trainer Gunnar Peterson, who is known for training the Kardashian family. As a celebrity personal trainer myself, some of my most notable clients include Robert Pattinson of Twilight and Batman, Chris Tucker of Rush Hour, Amber Riley of Glee. As a sports and entertainment media host, some of my favorite red carpet moments include Richard Branson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Tyler Perry, Tiana Taylor, Justin Baldoni, and Issa Rae, to name a few. I share my accomplishments, some of my accomplishments, to honor the millions of sacrifices my mom planted so that I could blossom and flourish into the woman I am still becoming. So wherever you're listening from or watching, pull up a digital chair and grab yourself a cup of hot or cold herbal tea, and welcome to my cozy home of Cut to the Chase at 8. A 15-minute micro-learning moment for macro living. And I am so overjoyed that you are here and you're listening. Because this is where we explore and lean into life with our lived experiences, yours and mine, where we invite lots of grace in this space, as we are living in some interesting times. Yeah. We chat all about spirit, mind, and body health that is ultimately our wealth in microdoses for macro living. So make sure you join me twice daily for just 15 minutes at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, because this is your 15-minute chance for your daily pause, for a cause, for clarity, for wellness, grace, and intentional decision-making, giving yourself grace, because how we start our day and how we end it matters. Each episode, my offer to you is 3 keys and 1 question to sit with, and hopefully encouraging you to give yourself grace in this space, something practical, something grounded, something you could hopefully carry with you. So wherever you're listening from, turn it up and tune in. And if anything you hear today pricks your heart or lights a spark, I'd love for you to subscribe, share it with someone you care about, and please leave a 5-star rating. So let's take a breath together. Inhale. 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's lean into today's episode of Cut to the Chase at 8. And let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. And let's get ready, set, and grow and go. And let's be great. We are settled in. We are locked in. So wherever you're listening from right now, if you're driving, walking, resting, cleaning up, organizing, or just taking a break, I want you to take a breath and allow this moment to be your soft place to land. Because today's conversation is about something that quietly shapes all of us. Environment. Not just where we live, but what lives inside of us. And here's today's question. What if our healing, our clarity, and peace and joy are deeply connected to the environments we allow to shape us? Environment is never neutral. And environment is not just, I think we think about just the physical, right? But it's also emotional, it is mental, it is spiritual, it is how we relate to people. It is the people, places, and things. And it's also the who, what, when, where, and why. Because our environment also includes where we live, where we work, where we sleep, what we do, what is our sleep routine before we even get to sleep, what we eat on a regular basis, what we watch, what we listen to, what we consume. And consuming and consumption is not just what you eat and ingest and or drink. It's also all of the things that you allow in your physical space and your mental space. And so who we allow to speak into us is also a part of our environment. And so here's the truth. Environment is never neutral. It is either doing one or two things. It is either supporting us, it's either healing us, or it's reinforcing our wounds, our traumas, and our triggers. Which brings me to key number 1. Our environment shapes our nervous system. Our body responds to environments and our environment long before our mind and our spirits do. If you think about the noise and the clutter and the chaos and the criticism and the tension, and even preparing for bed, like if you think about what kind of sleeper you are, right? Like some people, like for me, I need silence. I need silence. I need it to be pitch black. I don't need to see anything. But there are some times when I am extremely tired and I could fall asleep anywhere if my body is just overwhelmed and I'm tired. Or if I haven't slept, I could sleep anywhere. But for the most part, when I'm at home in bed, I need silence. But there are some people who need white noise. There are some people who need, to have the television on or the fan on. And so all of those things become part of your environment. And this white noise and or television, like you have to think about, why do you need those things to go to sleep, to shut off? And so all of that registers as information. And that's why certain rooms with certain people make us feel anxious. And certain conversations leave us drained. And there's like if you feel like tension with someone in a conversation and you leave the conversation feeling like you just had a physical fight, that is also a draining situation or a draining conversation. And certain people, and having conversations with them, they make our shoulders tighten before we even realize why. Our nervous system is constantly asking, am I safe here? And if the answer is no, our body braces for impact. Like, it's coming. You see it. You feel it. And so if we talk about gratitude from an arts-centered environment, and my lived experience is going to one of the best high schools in the country. It has changed a lot. It looks completely different than when I went there. But I went to Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts. And if you listen to some of my earlier episodes, I talk about my experience. And I generally talk about it because it was such a moment in time that really shaped a lot of what was already placed in me, what was already innate. Because our environment at arts was not built around labels. It wasn't built around superficial things. It wasn't built around tangible things like what kind of car do you drive or who wore what labels. Like, it was not that high school. We didn't have a best dress. We didn't have a most likely to succeed, most popular, who's the funniest, and who's dating who. Like, nobody cared. And we wore whatever we want. It was literally like fame. And we didn't like have a hierarchy of who was more important by clothes or status or anything superficial. We were just connected by art and creativity and expression and process and our voices and using those voices. We were all artists in some way. And that environment mattered because environments teach us what's valued. And when art is valued, humanity and seeing someone's just being a person, that part is valued. Which brings me to key number 2. People speak through their own lenses, and their own lenses are not always your truth or their truth. It is seen sometimes through their trauma. And here's something we don't talk about enough. And because people speak through their own lenses and their traumas and their triggers and their wounds and their own insecurities and their unresolved trauma, especially if you're talking to someone who is not actively, intentionally dealing with their own traumas and triggers and thorns in therapy. Not that you have to go to therapy, but if you're not intentionally working on that, then it is a hard place to have someone who wants to be better and have a conversation when you're on a place or in a place where you're growing and working through those things for yourself. It's like people sometimes want you to do that emotional labor for them. And so no one ever introduces themselves by saying, hey, here's my side of the story. And by the way, I'm still healing from childhood wounds. Especially when they tell their side of the story, but they never tell the other person's side of the story. And then if you have those kinds of friends who will never point out your areas where you can improve and get better and grow. If you don't have friends like that, then do you really have friends? So no one ever says, I'm still insecure about how I looked in middle school. And I'm still carrying being teased in high school. I'm still struggling with my teeth. And I know about the teeth thing because that was something that I struggled with in high school. Because until I got braces and got my braces off, I was the little girl who covered her mouth. And I was afraid to talk just because my teeth were different. And no one ever still says, oh, I'm still insecure about the clothes I couldn't afford in high school, where it really matters, or even in college. And people don't say, oh, I'm still trying to heal from things way back when I was 5. No one ever says that. But those wounds are still speaking. And sometimes people project their wounds and their cuts and they bleed on to us, not because they're doing something wrong, but because no one wants to be the villain in their own story. So if we talk about a lived experience and people who go from being in a womb to adults and still healing or being in the process of healing, there are things many of us are still healing from long before we even had language. Womb trauma, stress our mothers experience while carrying us, fear and instability and pressure. Then childhood, elementary school, middle school, high school, you carry that stuff with you. And those experiences don't just disappear because we become adults. It doesn't work that way. They live in our bodies. They live in our memories. They live in our DNA. They live in response patterns and how we typically respond. And if we're not aware, we can unknowingly allow people to speak into us from their unhealed places. It's called projection or deflection. Which brings me to key number 3. Protecting your environment is self-respect. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not everyone and every opinion deserves weight. Not every voice deserves volume. And protecting your environment means being intentional about who you listen to, what you watch, what you allow in your home, what energy and spirit you allow in your space, what conversations you keep revisiting. This isn't isolation. It's stewardship. Your peace deserves protection. So choosing healthy environments. As adults, we get to choose environments our younger selves didn't. We get to curate safety and calm and beauty and clarity. We get to build spaces, physical and emotional, that support who we're becoming, and that's healing. Our environments are shaping us, whether we're aware of it or not. And our healing accelerates when we choose spaces intentionally, when we recognize projection, when we hear it, when we protect our nervous system and our hearts, and when we honor our lived experiences and surround ourselves with environments that allow us to breathe. And that is not about perfection, it's about awareness. So, the question to reflect on: what environment, physical, emotional, or relational or relationships, am I being invited to reassess so I could better support my healing and my growth? So, before you go, I want to say thank you. It has truly been an honor sharing this time with you and sitting with you in this space where we need grace. And let's quickly revisit today's 3 keys. Key number 1: our environment shapes our nervous system. Key number 2: people speak through their own lenses, and it's not always your truth. It could be a version of their truth, but it's not always truth. Key number 3: protecting your environment is an act of self-respect and self-love and self-value. And your one reflection question for today: what environment in your life is shaping you right now? And is it supporting your healing, your growth, or is it keeping you stuck? So if today's episode offered you clarity, grounding, or a pause for a cause you didn't know you needed today, or if anything I shared pricked your heart or lit a spark, please subscribe and share this with someone you care about. Leave a comment as well so that this isn't a monologue but a dialogue. And leave a 5-star rating if this space helps you grow. Now let's close with one breath. Inhale. 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. and again at 8 p.m. Central. This is Cut to the Chase at 8 with me, Madison Simone Chase. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, grow, and go. And let's go be great. Blessings to you and yours. Until tomorrow.